What is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez. We are doing another Saturday 2-gamer. There's a Millie Maker at the top for this one. This is going to be interesting. You've got Seattle going into San Francisco. We got a little bit of weather action happening in that game. And then you got the Chargers traveling into Florida, into Jacksonville, going up against the division winner Jaguars. So I really think that both of these games are incredibly interesting. That Chargers-Jaguars game seems to be the one that could have a shootout. But I think people are sleeping slightly on the Seahawks in this one. I don't think that they can win this game, and I don't think they put up a lot of points, but I think they keep it close. We've seen this year already 2 games that they played this year against each other, and those games have been relatively close. There hasn't been like a massive blowout. So anyways, that's what we're talking about today. We're going to go through our injuries. We're going to talk sort of about these games individually, and then we're going to go into the breakdown where we talk about all the positions from quarterback all the way to defense. Then we'll build a couple lineups together. Ellie, what's going on with you, man? How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Just getting some last minute stuff done for the house. We got a baby on the way anytime now. So
any day, man.
You know, we're pretty excited.
That's going to be awesome, man. Yeah, that's going to be great, dude. I'm looking forward to that. You'll have to update our hey, and maybe next week. Maybe we'll come on next week and you'll have a baby. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so what else are we talking about, man? We're giving away today. We're ending that that giveaway, that Draftkings giveaway in our Discord. So by the time you're seeing this, it'll probably already be done. But hey, we're gonna do more in the future, so definitely scan that QR code if you're watching on your TV or computer. If not, go down to the description and click that join Discord. That's free, and you know we're updating on different news that's coming out, all the injury stuff that's coming out. So that's really easy and a free, nice resource for you guys. So what do you want to talk about here? You want to look at this first look and look at the numbers here?
Let's do it.
All right. So Seattle going into San Francisco. The weather as of now, we're recording this, what's today? Thursday, evening, afternoon. So the weather can obviously change, but as of now, it looks like they're going to get hit with, it's like a 90% chance of rain. And California has been going through, they've been getting some flooding, they've been getting some heavy rain. So I don't know how much that'll affect this game. But if it's downpours throughout this game, you gotta give the run game and the defense a little bit more of a boost, and you gotta think more about that under hitting. So first, let's talk about the Seattle game. What are your thoughts? Minus 500 for San Francisco on the money line, and it's a 9.5-point spread, 42.5-point total, and the ownership is heavily skewed. San Francisco players will be the highest owned on the slate. So what are your thoughts here with this game? I honestly think Seattle can make this a game. Like, I'm not going to come out and say Seattle's going to win this game, but I don't think it's going to, minus 500 on the money line and 9.5. I think Seattle covers this.
Yeah, man. So look, at the very least, I don't mind sprinkling a little bit of money on the money line here at the plus 385 odds or anything a little bit higher, to be honest with you, because again, this is a divisional opponent, and I think I'd really just be betting that San Francisco doesn't beat them 3 times in the same season.
Yeah.
Now, it is likely that San Francisco wins this game, but again, Kyle Shanahan and Pete Carroll have been coaching against each other for half a decade now, over half a decade. So these coaches know each other. They're game planning. They're going to have an excellent game plan for each other. And I think you're right to be, cautious and wary that this game could hit the under. Again, like these two teams have just beat the shit out of each other twice already this season, and they're going to go to again for a third time. And those games get gritty. So. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle's able to pull off the upset, but I do think San Francisco wins this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. And to me, it feels like I'm going to take defense. I'm going to take, 49ers defense, CMC, maybe some Eli Mitchell. Like, I'm going to sprinkle in a lot of the run game. I'm not going to stack too heavily if I'm doing Brock Purdy stacks. Maybe I go, 1 or 2 pass catchers along with CMC at most. Maybe two extra guys with Purdy. And then run it back with 1 or 2, maybe Phillip, Walker, maybe DK Metcalf, or what's his bucket? Why am I blanking on his name? Tyler Lockett. All right, let's move on to the next game here. The Chargers This is the good hair bowl. You've got Justin Herbert going against Trevor Lawrence, two great younger guys. Obviously, Lawrence this is really, I mean, yes, this is his second year, but I mean, come on, we can't count his first year. It's good to see them in the playoffs. It's good to see them playing well. They went out and spent a shitload of money on wide receivers, and we're all making fun of them because, oh, you paid Christian Kirk how much? And look what he's done this year. He's basically single-handedly helped them get into the playoffs at this point, win the division. So this is a 2.5-point spread. Chargers are favored on the road, 47.5-point total, and it's close to a pick 'em here. So what are your thoughts on this game? I think the Chargers come out and win. I think this hits the over. This is going to be a fun game to watch. But there's a chance that Jacksonville comes out and shocks the world in this game, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I think the thing to take in mind here is Jacksonville doesn't really have anything to lose. Nobody was truly anticipating this kind of a turnaround in their first season.
They're playing with house money right now.
I mean, look,
they're playing with house money. Like they don't have anything to
exactly.
lose.
I mean, the narrative surrounding the team is just how great they've done, is how much better they are since being freed from Urban Meyer. So, not to dwell on that too long, but again, I just think that opens up a lot of opportunity. The Chargers have the weight of the world on them outside of Justin Herbert. I mean, even Austin Eckler, like he's approaching the end of how long running backs last in the league, right? Especially ones as small as he is and as physical he is. So, look, this could be, one of the last hurrahs for the pieces and the weapons that are around Justin Herbert before they have to start thinking about other options with this team, right? So everything's on the line for the Chargers. Now, I do expect the Chargers to win, but I really wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville pulled this out. They're the home team. I mean, have they had a playoff game? Like when was
No, the Chargers. This is Herbert's first playoff game. This is his first start.
Oh, I mean Jacksonville, like in the history of the franchise, it was like 2001 with Maurice Jones-Drew or some shit.
No. What was it? 2017. They were a half away. They were beating the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, and then Jacksonville, when they first came in the league, they made it to an AFC Championship game as well. And then I think they had a little bit of dominance with MJD for a couple of years. But you're right. This is like I tried looking up prices for playoff tickets for this game because I'm like an hour and a half away from Jacksonville. And it was absolutely ridiculous. Like the prices were ridiculously high because people are hyped because I know there's a lot of stuff to do in Florida, and there's 3 playoff teams in Florida, but this game I think people are super hyped about Jacksonville here, and shit, I think they can come out and win this game. But I'm picking the Chargers, and I'm stacking this game the most. I think the field will probably do that, and then you get pieces from San Francisco. You get 2 or 3 guys from that, and then maybe one dude from Seattle or something like the tight end. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's go to our injuries here. So, Ellie, if you'll pull that up, I'm going to pull up.
Yeah, just pain. It was pain everywhere.
So, what are we looking at for injuries here? Because there's a couple that we really need to talk about. Not a ton, but you got guys like Mike Williams and Phillip Walker, right?
Well, Kenneth Walker.
Why do I call him Phillip Walker?
LA on your mind. You got the Chargers on your mind. Maybe you're thinking Phillip Rivers a little bit.
Anyways,
there.
Yeah, sorry.
But no, look, I think the biggest piece here, right, is the Kenneth Walker news. He hasn't practiced this week. I expect him to play, but if he doesn't, that's really going to open up a lot of value, especially obviously the Seattle running backs. I expect DJ Dallas to fill the spot if Kenneth Walker is out. But again, DJ Dallas is also questionable, hasn't practiced. So
yeah.
Those 2 guys, it really matters what happens with their status this weekend, right? They're going to open up a lot of value. DJ Dallas is like 4,200. So if Kenneth Walker's out, I love him. And then obviously the minimum price, I think, for running backs, $4K. So you'll have a random guy that's viable there. The other big piece that we want to look at is obviously the Chargers and Mike Williams. He's like LeBron James or Anthony Davis, right? He's just permanently listed as questionable. So,
but this is
I would expect him to play.
This is a real questionable, though. This is a real question.
Yeah.
I think like we saw Kenneth Walker is kind of that situation. The past handful of weeks, he's been questionable every time, and he's come out and he's gotten 3 straight 100-yard games. So yeah, he's hurting. He's questionable. Maybe he's missing some practices. So I expect Kenneth Walker to play most likely. But Mike Williams, I think it's 50-50. I think it's like game time decision because he's had back issues. And for whatever stupid ass reason, the Chargers drive me nuts.
That was crazy, man.
They drive me nuts.
They did that.
I don't understand it, man. There's absolutely no freaking reason for them to be on the field past that first quarter. Just sit them down, especially with a guy like Mike Williams. Sit his ass down, man, because he's the key to this team's success, in my opinion. If he's out there, it opens up so many other doors. You got guys like Josh Palmer as your third string wide receiver, which Josh Palmer could be a number 2, maybe a number 1 on some of these shittier teams. So it really opens things up for them. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a rant. Go ahead with your Mike Williams update there.
Oh, no. That's it. And you're right on, right? Like I expect him to play. I think it's smart to kind of be 50-50 with him. But, you know, if he is out, obviously that is going to open up some other value as well. But if he's in, depending on how serious you think this injury is, and it's probably something we'll want to keep an eye on throughout the day on Saturday, you might get some massive leverage by just not playing him, and it's assuming that one of the backups is going to get a little bit more run. And Justin Herbert's throwing them the ball. I don't mind getting them in the lineup. So that's really it. And then just kind of on an off note, Jamal Agnew for Jacksonville was limited in practice. I think he'll be fine. It's probably more showdown related than for the 2-gamer. But
hey, this is it's a 2-gamer though. We can talk about guys like Jamal Agnew as opposed to not even having dudes like that in your player pool on a bigger slate. Another one to mention here is Noah Fant. I don't know if you're seeing that as well as I'm seeing him as questionable. That could be updated. I don't know exactly, but I'm showing here he's questionable. And to me, that's big because you got a guy like Colby Parkinson at the stone min of 2,500 for those tight ends. If he gets to start, I mean, last week he had 6 fantasy points. The week before he had 14. The week before that he had 7. And at a dude at 2,500, if you can plug him in and get 9 fantasy points out of him, it opens up so many other doors for your stacks and your other builds. So that's something to keep an eye on. And hey, look, we're talking about a 2-gamer. Some of these injuries later in the day are impactful. You're going to have to be ready to late swap if you can. Play your Mike Williams stacks at lock, fine. And if he's out, just plug in Josh Palmer instead or something like that. But just be ready to be doing late swaps because I think we're going to get some news later in the day. All right, let's get to narratives here. So let's just generally talk about some of these games, and then we'll get into this breakdown. I think we kind of covered it. Like we sort of covered it already, but anything else that like jumps out to you that you want to talk about? I guess we can kind of talk about some of these numbers, but let me pull this up while you're sort of talking about things.
Yeah, man. Look, I think that for the first game, we just want to keep in mind, right, that they've already beat the Seahawks twice this season. And I know we harp on that a lot, but it is difficult beating a professional team 3 times in a row. It just is what it is. Kurt Warner, this is a crazy throwback, but he wrote a book, autobiography, and that's one thing that he talks about, right, is he had to play the Titans twice in the same season. They lost in the regular season. And they said that's one of the things they noted. It's difficult beating a team twice, let alone 3 times. So, just keep that in mind. I still expect San Fran to win, but Seattle could keep this close. And then the other game, we didn't really mention it yet, but the Chargers and Jacksonville Jaguars, they both have very sketchy defenses. So I really think, if it's possible this game goes way over. So just another thing to keep in mind. That game could end up in like a bullshit 52-45 blowout or shootout just because these defenses just don't show up.
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville defense is the second best defense against pass catching running backs. So hey, I mean, they're going up against Eckler. I still that's not gonna make me not play Eckler, but it's something to note. Maybe he doesn't have as dominant of a game, but still, it's still Austin Eckler. He's gonna get you 5-6 receptions most likely. The Jaguars defense sucks ass against tight ends, though. They're 30 in rating allowed to tight ends, and they've given up 7 touchdowns this year. So, hey, maybe maybe boost Gerald Everett's projection a little bit, or give him a thumbs up in your optimizer. Maybe get him in a couple more lineups. That's just my thought on it. When it comes to the 49ers, they have the best defense in the league, basically. 3.3 yards per carry to running backs. They're shutting down wide receivers. Travarius Ward locked down DK Metcalf this whole year, basically. Nick Bosa, 18.5 sacks. He's destroyed Geno this year. So that alone right there makes me, and the rain makes me kind of think this game, we hit the under. Maybe I don't stack this game as much. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But let's just get into our breakdown here right away. Let's hit it here. Break it down. All right, so we're going position by position. If you guys would throw us a like, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be doing the Sunday night showdown game as well as the Monday night showdown game. And obviously, we're going to be here for all the playoffs, giving you these 2 gamers and these showdown slates. So hit that subscribe, hit that like. Let's get us to 50 likes in this video. That would be awesome. All right, let me pull up this. All right, so we're starting with quarterbacks. You got Justin Herbert at 6,600, Trevor Lawrence 5,700, Brock Purdy 5,500, and Geno Smith 5,600. So Trevor Lawrence, Purdy, and Smith are all kind of grouped within $200 of each other. To me, that feels like Trevor Lawrence is the obvious pick over Purdy in this position. You only have to pay $200 up. And I don't know how, I just don't know what this San Francisco game is going to, push out. Is it going to be a 21-13 score again? I don't know. But to me, it feels like Trevor Lawrence is a better option fantasy-wise. And obviously, Justin Herbert will be the highest-owned quarterback by far. But then you look at Geno Smith, he's going to be like 10% owned. It's going to be tough. It's a bad matchup. He's going to be low-owned for a reason. But maybe you want to sprinkle in a couple of Geno Smith, just in case if they just somehow find a way to make this an interesting game, and maybe they put up 21 points or something. So thoughts on these quarterbacks? Obviously, we're going to use this as our basis for our stacking. So where are you going here, man? This is basically sorted in order of ownership here, but it seems like Trevor Lawrence and Purdy are right around the same ownership, and they're right around the same price. I got to take Trevor Lawrence every day of the week almost, right?
Yeah, man. Honestly, I've just been messing around with building a little bit here, and I really kind of expect Trevor Lawrence to move up in ownership, just because it's a lot more flexible with him at quarterback than it is with Justin Herbert. Now, and you're exactly right. Like, if my choice is between Geno Smith and Trevor Lawrence, it's an obvious matchup that Trevor Lawrence has a better matchup, right? So I think the field's going to eventually get closer to that as we get closer to locked, just because of the difficulties that we'll have building with Herbert, and maybe we'll be able to get one like that in. But other than that, man, I really like Trevor Lawrence. He's probably going to be a mainstay of my builds. I'll probably have 35 to 40% of them, just because I'm also not shy about running back, or stacking him with 3 wide receivers or 2 wide receivers and a tight end.
Yeah.
And just massively stacking that entire game. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a different, we talked about this in the last 2 games. I think that's a different way to kind of eat some of the chalk is, do a heavier stack and a bigger run back, or don't run back at all. Maybe grab Trevor Lawrence and just run a 3-0 or something along those lines. But kind of to wrap this up, and then of course Geno Smith and Brock Purdy are in play. Geno is going to be the lowest owned quarterback on the slate, so there's immediate leverage, and stacking him with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett is never a terrible idea. Do with that what you will. This is probably another place I'll be over the field, just because it's fine leverage for elite wide receiver talent. I think you mentioned already, Geno Smith has a rushing upside. He sneaks 1 rushing touchdown and only has 1 passing touchdown. He might still be the optimal quarterback, because that additional money, that even that $100 that he gives you from Trevor Lawrence, might be the difference between having to play the Chargers defense versus even the San Francisco 49ers defense, right?
Yes.
So there's a little bit of flexibility. And then Brock Purdy, for obvious reasons, he's been on a tear. I like stacking him with Kittle. I don't think you need to go much more crazy than that, because we're probably going to see a shitload of running from this Kyle Shanahan offense. But Purdy's fine. Just one more note on Purdy. He is a rookie quarterback. He's been doing really well. I don't necessarily expect him to continue playing that great. And if the weather is bad, I don't know if he's played in bad weather yet. So, that could be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a rookie quarterback at the end of the day. He's doing great. He's on an incredible team. He scored between 15 and 21 fantasy points in every game he started. That's impressive. And if you're looking at a guy who's the 3rd highest owned and gets you 20 fantasy points in a game like this, that's a big deal. But I just personally think with this weather and the fact that this is a division rivalry where both teams know each other very well, Seattle's going to come out and do some crazy shit. like some shit that they haven't put on film yet this year. Like they're gonna come out and do something crazy. I don't know if it matters enough because they are overpowered by this defense, but I really think that you can't sleep on Seattle. And try to sprinkle in a couple of stacks with them. And Brock Purdy for me, you know, just even pairing him with just CMC might be smart because I'm going to have CMC in almost every lineup. And we'll get, you know, let's talk about running backs right now, right? So let me sort by salary. So CMC is 8,500, expensive. Austin Eckler is 8,100. This is like your A tier. And then you have ETN at 6K and Kenneth Walker at 5,900. That's like your B tier, and then everybody else is kind of up for grabs. I will say, though, Eli Mitchell in a game like this, I'm really interested in him at 4,700. Putting him and CMC together and then stacking that second game could be huge. And then obviously putting in 49ers defense along with them would be nice. So what are your thoughts on these running backs? We can get into exact salaries here in a second. If you're listening on the podcast version, we'll obviously say those salaries out loud. But what are your thoughts on CMC and Eckler? I feel like their floor is so freaking high. I want to almost lock them into every one of my lineups. Go heavy, expensive running backs, and then get unique by getting some of these, you know, different type of stacks and finding your wide receivers to go along with your stacks and forcing these two stud running backs into most of your lineups. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, man. I think it's gonna be an easy way to kind of be a little bit more different than the field, right? I know Christian McCaffrey is gonna be chalky, but Eckler, ATN, and Walker are gonna kind of be pretty close to the same owned, and that's just because of the flexibility that ETN and Walker give you stacking with Christian McCaffrey, right? That's a $2,100 price difference, $2,200 between Eckler, ETN, and Eckler and Walker. So that extra money is going to give you a lot of ability to spend up on wide receiver. So, you know, forcing McCaffrey and Eckler into a bunch of lineups and still finding a way to pay up somewhere else is probably a great way to get different. And I think you nailed the hammer on whatever the saying is. You nailed it with Eli Mitchell, bro. I mean, stack him with Christian McCaffrey. Nobody's going to be doing that. Eli Mitchell is probably going to be 15% owned, and we see that he has a touchdown upside. Yeah, I get it. It was in a blowout, 38-13 against Arizona. But if you're just box score watching, then that's all you see. He had a touchdown when the game was like 14-7 or some shit. Like he was actively involved in the offense, and we've seen him involved. And even as just a straight pivot off of CMC, I still think that's fine. You just punt the position. I mean, he's $4,000 less. You might be able to get Herbert, Allen, Williams, and Everett by playing him and still get Eckler or some shit. So I love him. I think he's a great play, and especially at sub 15% ownership. That's just, he's probably too low owned for his price.
Yeah.
And then obviously just real quick, DJ Dallas, 4,200. He's in play. He's in play if you think Kenneth Walker is even limited, just because he's a puntable price. So I'm not even going to spend much time talking about him. He's RB2 if he's healthy, and then RB1 if Walker's out.
Yeah, if Kenneth Walker's out, you're opening up for, Godwin, Igwebikwe, sorry if I butchered that, and maybe Wayne Gallman. We don't know who they're going to bring up or who they're going to activate. But if Kenneth Walker's out, now you're looking at, a guy that's 4,000 and 4,200. You're probably going to want to try to jam that value in. So for me, if you're looking at like Travis Etienne is going to be like, 50+% owned. I honestly think in a game like this, we know Etienne can absolutely go off, and the Chargers aren't, some of this incredible defense. But you see here, he can have some of these below average games. He can have you an 8 fantasy point game, a 3 fantasy point game, 5. But also, if he's got 29 fantasy points in a game like this, you're going to have him. So he's scary to me. If we were doing a showdown show, I would say this is a perfect captain option here, and maybe fade him in the flex a little bit. But hey, I think you got to try to feel it out. But I personally would rather go Lawrence, Kirk, Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, Ingram. I'd rather go with those guys over ETN, just because I think this can be a shootout, man. So what are your thoughts on ETN here? Because this is a little bit confusing to me. And also, I think that Eli Mitchell can outscore ETN in a game like this.
I mean, So I think ETN and the same goes with Walker. Like we're just going to end up on how much we have of him because unless like you're not really going to because he's priced at a certain him and Walker are priced literally at 6K, which is going to give us certain flexibility to build at the wide receiver or really wide receiver because there's not many other positional variants today. So you're going to have probably 35 to 40% of them just regardless. Unless you're intentionally stacking McCaffrey, Eckler, and then handcuffing with Eli Mitchell, right? So that's kind of what one of the things that when we're talking about getting different, like that's why just you're going to be forced to play both those two running backs just because of their price, and you're not playing really anybody else other than maybe Eli Mitchell because nobody's going to get any true run, right? So you have to find a way to just play them.
Yeah, if you're really screwed for salary and you're really punting with a super chalky build, Kyle Juice is always a very it's a very scary option, but we see him getting involved in the pass game and we see him getting red zone opportunities, which is kind of what you're looking for in a 2-gamer. All right, let's go to wide receiver here. So the interesting thing about wide receivers for this slate, if you're looking ahead to the Sunday slate, it's the opposite. We've got high-priced wide receivers on Sunday and not so great, running backs, and it's the complete opposite here. I do think that I do think that these wide receivers are all in play, and they're just priced all very well. So Keenan Allen 7K, DK. Let's actually go by stack. So Keenan Allen is 7K, Mike Williams 6,100, Josh Palmer 5,300. Then you got DK Metcalf at 6,200, Tyler Lockett, he's priced well at 6K. And then you look at the 49ers here. You got Ayuk at 5,800. Ayuk is priced above Deebo Samuel at 5,700. Deebo Samuel is going to most likely fully be back in the mix. I think he got 64% of the snaps last week against Arizona. You expect to see a Deebo Samuel being used quite a bit in this game. And hey, if we're talking about heavy rain, you might see him getting some RB2 snaps as well. And, some weird shit with some direct snaps, some read options with Deebo Samuel in the red zone, something weird like that you probably can expect. But you're looking at a super, super cheap Deebo Samuel, and he projects well at 5,700. And then you got Christian Kirk, 5,900, Zay Jones, which is, in my opinion, probably the best value on the slate at 4,300 because of his upside. Marvin Jones, 3,400, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of very well-priced dudes that can absolutely go off in this game. So do you agree with what I was saying earlier about, you obviously, like, if you're targeting wide receivers, target them with the stack and get 2 or 3 of them even with a run back, and based on the stack that you're doing, kind of prioritize it that way. Is that kind of what, I mean, I guess that's pretty basic knowledge, but instead of trying to force in your running backs in pass catching running backs into stacks, maybe you go heavier on the wide receivers. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, well, it makes a lot of sense, right? This is a slate where if you're just looking at roster construction, it's probably best to just build your stacks that you want, and then kind of just let the running backs fall where they may. Again, you're gonna get a bunch of Christian McCaffrey. I know people are gonna be targeting him, but the way that the other guys are priced, they're gonna let you get stacks of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Justin Herbert, right? And you can get crazy here. You can go Trevor Lawrence, Christian Kirk. Zay Jones at 4,300 is crazy, and then Marvin Jones Jr., right? Like you can just run a crazy stack at all 3 of them at 3,400, or MJJ's at 3,400. Like that's solid, man. Like we've seen what he can do. I mean, has he ever been to the playoffs? Like,
I don't think so.
There's this is the NFL. This isn't an NBA where you're talking about series. Like there's actual narratives that these guys come out and play well just because it's their first fucking time being there. They want to win, right? So I think you prioritize the stack you want and kind of figure out what you want to do with the run back and then go from there. But just real quick, I agree with you on Deebo Samuel. He's underpriced at 5,700. Keenan Allen at 7K is severely underpriced. If Mike Williams does happen to be out, I would have expected Draftkings to maybe move him up to like 74, 7,500.
Yeah,
just to make it a little bit more difficult, just in case. But If Mike Williams is out, like Jesus, dude. Like,
this is all with Mike Williams. Most of these are with Mike Williams. I mean, last week 11 targets, 8 receptions, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he is looking really good lately. This is the Keenan Allen that I drafted in all my best ball leagues and all my season longs, and this was the guy I was expecting weeks 1 through 8. And he didn't show up because of injury. I mean, he got injured. So now he's finally getting back into that. This is Keenan Allen, one of the best receivers in the NFL type roles. And shit, if Mike Williams is out, yes, I do agree that, yeah, probably he's going to get some more targets. But I like him more with Mike Williams in. I know that sounds crazy. He's just going to open up so much more. We cannot forget about Josh Palmer at 5,300. People will absolutely forget about this guy. He's going to be 10% owned. I'm going to be 30% on Josh Palmer. I'm going to have a shitload of him. He's $5,300. And because of the price of Deebo Samuel, also that's going to depress his ownership. If Mike Williams is out, I'm crunching in a shitload of Josh Palmer. I don't know. I like him a lot more than most people do. I don't know why, but I'm really into him. Anybody else jump out to you here on the low end? Like, are you interested in any Juwan Jennings, Ray McLeods, DeAndre Carters?
DeAndre Carter, if Mike Williams is out, and then let's just simplify it. Justin Herbert is throwing him the football. I like DeAndre Carter. He's not Jamison Williams, but he may have an opportunity to get one up the seam and score a touchdown off that. And that's, Justin Watson last week was literally a yard or two away from it. And he likely would have put Pat Mahomes in the optimal as well as Justin Watson being in the optimal at that point because of that one play, right? So, don't sleep on guys like that on a 2-game slate. And at 3,600, like if you're going to punt this or tight end, or defense is probably the place to do it. Yeah. So, Justin Herbert's throwing the ball. Just fucking throw the guys in there.
Speaking of tight end, I think that this is the place to punt. If you're going to find one random-ass dude, this might be the position to do it at. George Kittle is 5,900. Now, he's absolutely been going off, and he has a good relationship with Brock Purdy. One stat I will bring up here now that Deebo Samuel is back, and also, a guy like Brandon Ayuk, who we didn't really mention a lot here, is also a very good option. But Brandon Ayuk has also been looking pretty good. So does George Kittle just, am I not as interested in George Kittle with Deebo? Probably not. But in the last 2 seasons, Kittle has averaged basically around 12 fantasy points per with Samuel active and 25 with him out. So that's 5 games with him out. So it's not a huge sample size, but worth mentioning that maybe George Kittle just doesn't get enough. Maybe he gets a couple less targets than he typically would with Deebo at 100%. You got Ingram at 4,200 and then Gerald Everett at 3,200. And then from there, it's a bunch of scrubs that you probably want to try to find a way to fit in. So what are we doing for tight end here? Last Saturday slate, we were thinking, okay, tight end was a very strong position. You had Kelsey. You had, and then you wanted to jam like a value dude like Ingram into the flex. I don't think we're doing 2 tight end lineups this week. I'd rather just like pay down and get a guy like Colby Parkinson who could end up getting the start at 2,500. Thoughts?
Yeah, man. So I definitely think that this is a position you can consider punting at. And then this kind of just dawned on me. You're exactly right. This is going to be a difficult slate to want to prioritize 2 tight ends. But this might be a viable slate to do it, right? So maybe instead of taking the risk with Eli Mitchell, you throw Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler in your running back spot, throw George Kittle in a tight end, and then maybe Colby Parkinson flex. Or if Noah Fant's out, even Noah Fant at 3,100 or Jared Everett at 3,800, that kind of stack might be able to give you the flexibility that you need. And even if you want to go Ingram and Everett, like I do think that getting different here is interesting because the prices are so much cheaper anywhere else. That might give you the flexibility to run a crazy ass lineup. And even if both these guys just kind of middle out, this is a premium position. You either have Travis Kelce or you're praying the other guy gets what you need, right? Like that's essentially what tight end is in the NFL at this point.
Yeah.
So, I think you can get really weird here and just pay up for the studs everywhere else.
I think that Gerald Everett, you cannot forget about him. I think he's going to be around 25 to 35% owned. Like, he's a good option and that price is good. And he's got a good matchup. He's going up against one of the worst defenses against tight ends. But look, Evan Ingram, yeah, he's boomer bust type dude, but I honestly think, he's got a higher ceiling in this matchup than George Kittle does. George Kittle can come out and get 5 receptions for 50 yards and, get you a handful of points and do an okay job, but with his team winning, and maybe they just don't need him in this matchup. So I like Kittle, obviously, but it seems to me like Evan Ingram will be the highest owned guy. And then Gerald Everett might be like similar ownership to Kittle. Do you like, based on what we're seeing now in ownership projections, that seems to be what's happening. Do you agree with that? Do you think that'll change?
Yeah, that'll change. I think people are just going to find a way to jam in George Kittle. I mean, he seems to be kind of renewed since Brock Purdy. The dude's had multiple 2-touchdown performances. It might only be 2, but
well, it helps that he plays the Cardinals 2 times a year too.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, look, I think his ownership is probably going to come up, and he's going to be one of the chalkier plays on the slate, which again kind of just gives you a little bit more leverage playing some of these other guys, in addition to the savings that you're going to get.
Yeah. All right, let's go to our defense here. So clearly half the field is going to be on the 49ers defense. It's an obvious play. And if the 49ers defense comes out and dominates and gets you 15 fantasy points, you might have to have them to even to win, obviously, but obviously to cash. I mean, you've seen these chalk defenses absolutely bail out everyone in a couple of these slates recently. They're $3,600. Based on what I'm seeing, DraftKings did a really good job with their pricing. It's very tight. It gives you the freedom to do a lot, but there's so many instances where I had the perfect lineup and I was off by like $100 for the 49ers defense, and I had to go back and change some things. So it seems like to me that 49ers defense is going to cause you to do something weird in the flex, or not the flex, sorry, showdown, in the rest of your lineups. So I don't know what to do here, man. 3,600 for the 49ers. Do we go under the field and we risk it? Do we be along with the field? It's defense, man. You never, like, they could shut this team out and just not have a pick six or not have a lot of sacks or any sort of turnovers and just kind of get you 6 fantasy points. Like the Jaguars could do that too, right?
Yeah, so I don't want to oversimplify this too much, but look, the 49ers are the best defensive play on the slate. We know that. My mom knows that. Your grandpa knows that. So, play him if you can get to him, but otherwise just don't sweat this position too much, right? If 500 is the difference between you having to play like Marvin Jones Jr. and Keenan Allen, obviously that's a bad example. I'm just using it to make a point. If that's the difference, like, make sure your lineup construction works and you're getting the projected points that you're looking for. Any defense can end up in the optimal. It just takes one pick six to fuck it all up for everyone.
What I might try to do is find some of my strongest lineups and then just rotate out the defense for like four different lineups of the same exact lineup. That's what I might try to do instead of letting the optimizer just get crazy with it. I might try to like focus in on just trying to switch out some of these defenses and then go up at one of these other, flex positions or wide receiver. If you had to pick one of these other defenses besides the 49ers, who are you picking?
I don't know. I guess the Jaguars probably. Jaguars or the Seahawks, man. Like, if I get confused, man, I'm just punting. Just punt the position. That $1,200 is going to get you something nice elsewhere. And again, like, the Seahawks are still playing a rookie quarterback, dude.
Yes.
One pick six. You got 2 potential defensive players or defensive rookie of the year in your corners. It's definitely in play at 2,400.
Pete Carroll, man. Pete Carroll. I trust Pete Carroll can draw something up that can sort of confuse this rookie quarterback, at least to the point where that keeps him in the game. They're $2,400. This could hit the under because of weather. This could be a defensive struggle. It's a division rivalry. Maybe this game ends up being 21-13 again. And if the Seahawks get a couple sacks and maybe an interception or something, maybe the Seahawks can get you 6, 7, 8 fantasy points at 2,400, and they could still lose. All right. Let's get into our lineup build here. We're going to build a lineup, a couple lineups together here. Sorry, let me do all this fun stuff. Okay, that's different. Give me 1 second. Ellie, why don't you talk about our Discord a little bit and that contest, and then talk about some future contests that we probably have at other milestones for our subscribers. Let me get this other thing up here.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. So guys, on Tyson's, just right underneath his sleeve, there's a little Discord link to scan. That'll get you into the Discord where we keep you up to date on any breaking news that we need to be aware of, whether it's NFL or even NBA. We got stuff going on for that as well. Hop in, chop it up with us. That's also where you still have a little bit of time if it's on Thursday to try and get involved in the $50 DraftKings giveaways. If not, we'll probably be doing it again here at maybe 1,500 subscribers. We'll see. We'll see what's going on and how quickly we're growing as a DFS group.
All right, let's get into our builds here. We're going directly off the DraftKings website. It looks a little bit better than RG. Who are we starting with? Do you want to do a cash build first? Do you want to talk about the optimal sort of cash build here, and then we can pivot from there?
Yeah, let's go with a cash build here.
So, Herbert stack, I'm guessing, right? Or is this a Purdy stack because of his price?
I don't know. Let's start with let's just start with Christian McCaffrey. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah, and Eckler. I mean, right? I mean, come on.
So yes, if we're gonna do Eckler, then we're gonna probably need to do Purdy for quarterback.
All right, so McCaffrey, Eckler. Do you want to go with Debo because he's 5,700? He's priced pretty well here.
Well, let's start with Zay Jones. I think we like the value there. And then go ahead and throw in Debo.
Okay. Because I think our tight end, I think we really want to go with one of these cheaper end tight ends, right?
Well, I think we're going to need to try and so are you're seeing Everett as the chalkiest on
well, when I hit the button, Everett popped up at the tight end. Actually, I'm pretty sure shit, I don't even know where it's at. It was a double tight end lineup. It was Kittle and Eckler, I think. But I mean, that doesn't mean anything. We're 2 days away from. I mean, shit's gonna change. So.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go with Everett. I do like him at 3,800.
All right, let's try it. Or I mean, look, you could if Noah Fant's out, Parkinson at $2,500. You really only need a couple receptions out of him. You don't need some monster game at that salary for a cash build. But let's go Everett here. So what are we looking at here? So we got Eckler and Everett from that, and Zay Jones from that second game, and then we've got 3 49ers. I think we're set up pretty well. If you want to go with the 49ers defense, we're going to have to do that. That's going to be definitely a cash build. So we've got 2 positions left, about 5,200 a pop. So we can go down at the wide receiver, find some more value, or what are we doing here with these last 2 spots?
I think we're throwing Christian Kirk.
Okay. 4,600 flex. It doesn't, Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
I mean, so can we do somebody else? Hang on, let me look at these wide receivers here. Christian Kirk. I mean, it's probably the best option for that. I mean, unless you want to go Keenan Allen or something.
Well, or you punt and go down to Marvin Jones Jr. and see what we can do over in that flex spot. That gives us enough.
Yeah.
To do anything better.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. As we get closer, maybe there's some injury news that'll pop up.
I mean, that gives you Keenan Allen, right?
Yeah, it does. So Marvin Jones, Keenan Allen.
Probably a GPP lineup.
Probably a GPP lineup. But I think the core here for cash, I feel like this is a solid core. And if you don't want Brock Purdy, you can obviously go up to Justin Herbert, but then you're gonna have to punt in one of these positions. But maybe we get Colby Parkinson news that he's starting, and that allows you to sort of do that. So let's talk about a GPP build here. So let's start with Herbert because he's expensive, and let's see what we can actually do with McCaffrey and Eckler in here. If we've got Eckler in the flex, you have to assume he's gonna, along with rushing, he's better in the pass game. So Herbert and Eckler, that is a piece that you could fit together pretty comfortably. Do we want to go Keenan Allen or do we want to go down to Josh Palmer? What's the other guy we want to do? And then we probably want to run it back. Maybe we do two more Chargers guys.
Can we do? So I think we try and go Allen Everett if we can.
Yeah, I agree. Everett, and then let's run it back with probably Zay Jones at least, right?
Yeah.
So we've got the only guy that we don't have from this late game is McCaffrey. Do we want to? What do we want to do? We want to probably get another 49er in here.
All right, hear me out. Let's see if this works, and then I think we'll have enough to get a 49er. In that last wide receiver spot, let's go Marvin Jones Jr.
Okay, I like that. Where the hell is he? What's his price? 30-something?
3,300, I think.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Or 3,400. And defense, throw in
Do it.
Throw in Seattle.
Do it. All right, 5,900. Kenneth Walker, George Kittle, Christian Kirk, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. There's a shitload of options here. Probably want to get a 49ers, right?
Ayuk, man.
Okay, love it. So Ayuk, obviously you can put Deebo in here. You could put Kittle in here too. Like, that's pretty interesting.
I actually really like that. That's kind of crazy. That's a pretty solid lineup. Like, you know, you don't have Christian Kirk, you don't have ETN, Lawrence, but I mean, I actually like this build. And again, like, it sucks kind of punting defense here, but you know, if you say you go down from, well, how much is Christian Kirk? Can you go from Kittle to Kirk? Or is that the wrong direction?
No. Oh yeah. You can do Kirk.
Oh, it's the same price. Okay, cool. So Jesus, you can literally rotate a bunch of stuff there. And if you want to go down a little bit more, then you can get a little bit more flexible. This is exactly the lineup you can do your idea with, where you just rotate the defenses out, I think.
Yeah. So you see what we're dealing with. I mean, these are good lineups. Like, these are interesting, fun lineups. You're not like, we didn't really just say fuck it and punt at any of these positions, maybe except for the Seahawks here. Let's do another build like this. So,
all right,
what do you want to do?
I have one ready, man. So
do it.
All right, hear me out. All right, so let's go Trevor Lawrence. Throw in your boys, CMC and Eckler.
Okay.
All right, and then let's go Christian Kirk, Zay Jones.
Okay.
Brandon Ayuk.
Zay Jones,
Gerald.
Ayuk. Okay.
Gerald Everett.
Okay.
Niners defense.
Okay.
And then what? Evan Ingram.
So what is that? That's Lawrence with Kirk, Jones, Ingram, run it back with Eckler and Everett, and then you've got Ayuk and 49ers and McCaffrey and 49ers defense. I like it. Solid. Let's try to do that handcuff with CMC and Eli. So let's start fresh here. Let's just start. Do you want to do Lawrence here?
Yeah, let's do Lawrence, and then just go ahead and throw in Eli in the flex then.
Yep. Where's he at? He's 4,700. Let's put 49ers defense in there as well. I think that correlates pretty well. And now let's get our wide receivers and tight ends. So, do we want to get maybe Keenan Allen or something in this lineup, and then because we have plenty of value, do you think we can do that, or Mike Williams even?
Let's throw in Keenan Allen, and then honestly Gerald Everett.
All right, let's go Gerald Everett, and that leaves us with two wide receivers. Can we get both of our dudes? I don't think we can. 2,700. Can we get? Nope, we can't get him. So instead of Kirk, we're gonna have to go Zay Jones and probably Marvin Jones, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Now, if you want to be weird, you can also throw in you can swap out Marvin Jones for DeAndre Carter.
Oh yeah, interesting. But I really want to get Lawrence here with at least a couple of his dudes.
Yeah.
Let's try this. Let's punt with Parkinson at tight end. And shit, you could even go up to Noah Fant if you wanted to. And then that may allow us to get you can get Josh Palmer. I don't want to do that though. So it doesn't really get you enough. So instead of Keenan Allen,
if you go from Keenan Allen to Mike Williams, I think that'll give you a little bit of flexibility.
Yeah. So that now gets you, you can get DK Metcalf, Lockett, but most likely you probably want to put Kirk in here. So you get you Lawrence, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, run it back with Eckler, Mike Williams. You got a punt in Cody Parkinson because of the value, and then you got CMC, Eli Mitchell, and 49ers defense. That's fucking sexy right there. I like that a lot. I'm gonna screenshot that so I don't forget about it. That might be my Millie Maker lineup or something. Along with anybody else who's watching this show, I guess. All right, let's do some crazy shit here as we sort of conclude the show. We got to do some other stacks. Let's do it. Do you want to do Geno? You want to do Brock? What are you thinking?
Yep, let's go Geno. Let's go and then let's go ETN and Eckler.
Okay, like it.
And then let's go DK and Tyler Lockett.
Love it. Okay. And do we want to run it back with CMC in the flex? Or do you want to go with...
Yeah, let's do it if we can.
Yeah. I mean, we got to try. We got to at least try. So I think we should probably do a Debo here, right? That's not going to get us.
We should be able to afford him, right?
No, that's not going to... Here,
but yeah.
Let's put in Noah Fant. Just right off the bat. All right? Or, I mean,
like that.
Fuck it. But you could also go down to Parkinson. Let's just see what that gets us. Now, let's go to... Do you want to do... what defense do you want to do? Do you want to do Jaguars here? Since we're not really stacking many.
Throw in Seattle.
All right. It leaves us with 4,100. So you can get DeAndre Carter. Anybody from this game? There's Juwan Jennings. Anybody else? Yeah, probably Juwan Jennings here, right?
Yeah. What about if we come off of we got Noah Fant in there? I like that. Let's come off of DK and put in what's our boy? Christian Kirk.
All right. Does that get us Christian Kirk? It gets us Keenan Allen too.
Oh, well, yeah, just do that.
Or you can
that's a hell of a GPP lineup.
Or you can go from Keenan Allen and you can go up from Jennings. So you can go down, you can go down to Debo and then you can get Zay Jones in here.
Zay Jones.
As a one-off. So Etienne and Zay Jones, and the rest is from this first game. That's pretty interesting too. And
if that 300, that should give you enough to go from Fant to let's see.
Nope.
Oh no, never mind, nothing. But if you want, you can go from Debo to Christian Kirk. And you still have Zay Jones in there.
And
but
3,200 Noah Fant. Yeah. Now, what if you went from Noah Fant to Parkinson? What can we get here instead of? Will we pull out Kirk? Who do you want to pull out?
Let's see. Does pulling out Kirk that gives us
get you? Yeah, it might get you DK. Hang on.
Yeah, I think it does.
DK. That feels a little bit better. You still got McCaffrey. You got Geno Smith with DK and Tyler Lockett and Parkinson with the Seattle defense. Now you could come up off that Seattle defense, right? You could afford Jaguars.
Now you can get to Jacksonville.
Yeah. So interesting. So I feel like there's just a shitload of options here. Like I feel like every quarterback is probably a pretty decent play. Stack those wide receivers. You can get interesting with this Eli Mitchell CMC handcuff with the defense as well. Even you don't have to play the 49ers defense, but probably. So what did you like about that, man? Like what jumped out to you about these builds? First of all, pretty easy, pretty straightforward to build. You're not really punting that much. You're still getting studs like Zay Jones, and maybe you have to get a Marvin Jones Jr. in there, but I don't hate that at all. So what jumped out to you?
Yeah, so I know in the first look show that we did earlier in the week, we were talking about not running two tight ends, and I think that actually might be an interesting way to get different. And it's probably the place that I'm comfortable punting the most. So I'm still gonna have a heavy ass exposure to George Kittle, and he'll still be a part of those two tight end builds. So, excuse me, I think that's gonna be an interesting way to get different on the slate, man.
Yep, I agree. The next show we'll be doing for you guys is Baltimore in Cincinnati. We're still waiting on that Lamar Jackson news, but most likely it doesn't look like he's going to play, man. I don't even know if Tyler Huntley is going to play. So, I mean, that's unfortunate, but hey, we're going to wait. We're going to wait till Sunday afternoon or maybe maybe noon or something like that in order to do that show, just so we're as up to date with that news as possible. So if you're not subscribed, hit that bell and hit that subscribe button, and we will see you guys on Sunday Night Football.